Today is episode 12 of the full paycheck investing series. It'll be a bit of a different one today as it's the first one that I'm doing post-layoff. I'll likely be doing one roughly every week going forward while I'm laid off, since I should be getting unemployment checks every week in theory. This week's special as I have my severance check that came in today to invest, and then as well as my first unemployment paycheck. Though there's a huge caveat there that we'll get into later in the video. As always, I'm doing this all uninterrupted in one take, and you'll get radical transparency on my channel. I share my real numbers, and you see exactly how much skin I have in the game with any given position. You can follow along my portfolio by checking the free Snowball portfolio link in the description below. If you appreciate all the transparency, make sure to give a like and subscribe if you want to keep seeing more of this content. As usual, just a little disclaimer, this video is for entertainment and education purposes only. I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing here should be taken as financial investment or tax advice. I'm simply sharing my personal investing journey and documenting my own results. Investing always carries risks, especially when using margin, and you can potentially lose money. Don't copy what I'm investing in blindly without understanding the risks and doing your own due diligence. No returns are guaranteed. And for anyone that's new or that needs a refresher, this is the monthly flow that I typically use to invest 100% of my income and live out of my brokerage. Obviously, this has changed a lot given the layoffs, but this is the old chart that I was using, and I'll kind of talk through the few differences there. I invest 100% of my income on this channel, so it used to be 10.8K every month, but now it'll be closer to 4.4K every month with the unemployment income I'm getting. I invest it normally into growth and high yield ETFs, but with the layoff, I'll be focusing more on safer high yield ETFs for now to keep the cash flow growing. I've stopped using a traditional bank account to live entirely out of my Robinhood brokerage account. I use cheap margin of 4.5% to bridge the gap between my bills and my dividends. And the goal is to ideally never sell a share or take out money out of the account, apart from rebalancing. I want to forever compound both my growth and high yield assets and have my monthly dividends eventually exceed my monthly expenses. For an in-depth breakdown of the chart, check out the link at the top right. All right, so yeah, here's the portfolio. Bit of a red day today, given that the jobs report came out for February and it was lower than they expected. And it's been a bit of a roller coaster of the week with the war in Iran. Like, we started off green on Monday and then down on Tuesday and so on and so forth. It was just kind of up and down all week, which was crazy. And today it's a bit of a red day, which is nice, just because, yeah, it's a good buying opportunity for a couple of funds that I'm looking into, right? And just up and down this week. So I'm just glad I'm able to catch a bit of a red day on the day that my severance and my unemployment check came in. So yeah, well, first things first, we'll just transfer the severance pay. So you can kind of see that it came into my spending account here, and I'll be transferring that to my brokerage account. So $3,691.40. Get that transferred over to the brokerage. Yeah, and then now we'll transfer over the severance paycheck. So I need to give a little bit of a preface for this. So if we switch to Miro, I'm going to go over a couple of posts that I made in our Discord this morning. So I've been having a bit of trouble with the Washington unemployment. So last week, for basically this week's unemployment check, I basically self-reported my weekly YouTube income, which is technically what you're supposed to do by the rules and by the law. And it's like well below the 25% threshold that would affect my weekly unemployment benefit. And unfortunately, that's triggered a manual review and adjudication of my unemployment income. So it's really unfortunate because, like, from reading online, Washington Unemployment Bureau is actually super backlogged apparently, and someone 3 days ago was posting how, like, the backlog might be as long as 14 weeks. So it might actually take 14 weeks before they even review my case and just decide whether I can get paid or not, which I absolutely should, given that the income that I reported was like $20 for YouTube income for that week. So it's just really annoying, honestly. It's like I'm being penalized for being honest, and like, had I lied or omitted that income or didn't report it at all, that self-employment income, I would have gotten my unemployment payment this week. Like, I have other old coworkers that got paid as soon as Monday after they filed on Sunday, right? Which I filed on Sunday as well, but my payment's still pending. So yeah, I tried giving a call to the unemployment office today and nothing. The phones were swamped already 5 minutes after they opened. I couldn't connect to an agent. But yeah, I might have to contact potentially a state rep or like a state senator to have this get looked at, because I had a friend this happened to a couple of years ago, and they waited like 3 months before they got paid, and then they got tired and ended up contacting a state rep, and then within 24 hours of messaging the rep, the issue was sorted. So we'll see. I'm going to give it maybe another week or two, and then I might have to kind of go that route, because it's pretty annoying, honestly, given that we're paying into this. It's like our money, and just making it a pain to access it when I'm being honest about stuff, and I'm getting penalized for it. So I'm sure anyone that's been through unemployment can probably relate to this. Definitely some people in the Discord that did. So yeah, a bit annoying. But my solution here is that for now, what I'm able to do is that like I'm basically going to transfer payment that I would have gotten from unemployment from my HELOC to myself essentially. So the $1,152. And I can kind of do this for at least the next several weeks, fine with the HELOC dollars that I have left. So I'll do that hopefully, and hopefully I can kind of get the unemployment stuff sorted before then. So yeah, that's again just super annoying. You can probably tell the frustration I've had with this whole situation. It's been kind of grating me all week, honestly, and kind of derailing all my plans a bit. But yeah, just gonna keep rolling with the punches and keep going. So we're gonna transfer over $1,152. Let's go bring that from my HELOC, putting that to my individual account, and then we're gonna get that all invested together. All right, cool. The deposit went through. Instant deposit available, which is nice. And yeah, then let's pop back and see what we're gonna buy this week. So yeah, you see that the buying power is updated here at $85,552, and the total account value is at $160.8K. And so I'm thinking this week that I'll be buying two different positions. So one will be XPAY that I'm thinking, and then one will be CHPY. So for XPAY first, I have a pretty big sizable position in that because it's one of my core anchors here. So if we pop over to the anchors and kind of take a look at it here, and it's doing good, as you can kind of see. So like it's up 23% or 8.8K in total return. So 2.9K of that is capital gains and the rest is dividends. And yeah, if we look at kind of like the chart of when I bought, like I first bought at the end of May last year when I transferred over basically my cornerstone position into that, given that I was kind of about to move into Robinhood and they didn't have CEFs at the time. It had like a similar yield and everything. And then also I just like that it was anchored to the S&P. And yeah, if we look at all my buys, like really, if I buy today, it'll actually be the cheapest buy that I have out of the bunch, right? Given even with how high I've gotten. So I think it'll be a good buy. And yeah, I know there might be some issues there as far as like XPay being 20% like targeted, just because like the S&P average is like 8 to 11% on average. So there is a bit of a deficit there and a spread. So potentially if there's a year the S&P doesn't do good, like you'll be at a deficit there and there might be some NAV erosion there, right? But so far, at least when I bought it on like those dips, it's gone well. Like when I bought it at the end of May, like it's gone up since then. And then also like 100% of it is ROC as well. So that kind of helps defer taxes. So yeah, my capital gains up 2.9K and total profits up 8.8K. Factor in the dividends as well, which is pretty good. So we'll go ahead and buy that. So I'll be putting most of the money I'm getting today. So just the full severance pay, the $3,691.40 in there, and buy XPay. Cool. Yeah, I'm always nervous when I'm doing my buys that I'm like, will mistakenly buy 3,600 shares instead of $3,600. And next up will be CHPY. So yeah, I already have a pretty sizable position in CHPY given that I transferred NVIDIA into that and then also WPay. But yeah, CHPY has had a decent dip this week given the war in Iran and everything. And then also like I do want to do a little chunk of at least today's paycheck because it's a big sum that goes to an ultra yielder, right? But I don't want to do YMAX, I don't want to do Alti, I don't want to do BTCI given that how volatile they are and then also just like NAV eroding they are. So CHPY I feel like would be a good option here given that they holds their underlyings and just sells covered call debit spreads on them. So in general just kind of appreciates in NAV as you probably saw in like the other videos earlier this week. So yeah, you can kind of see how low it's dropped, right? Like I basically bought at the highs the other day when I transferred everything over from WPay, and then yeah, did another buy in NVIDIA and everything, and yeah, so I'll buy at another low now. Let's just go ahead and make that buy. So we'll basically put again, she's showing it in the chart there. I basically bought at that top there, and then it's just kind of gone down with the war in Iran breaking out literally that weekend after. So we'll put in $1,152, so just about 20.3 shares there, and then buy an extra. Great. So that's the buys completed for quote unquote my full paycheck between my severance pay and my first unemployment paycheck. If we would just refresh this really quick and kind of get the proper numbers, seems like it's kind of fluctuating a bit. My buying power after all that is sitting at 80.7K, 241K of margin total, and 160.3K of margin used, and 40.3K of cash available for withdrawal. And yeah, that's the buys completed. If we pop over to my spreadsheet to just check on the bills we have to pay this week. So there's only two today. So there's my Fidelity Visa card that's a 2% cashback card, and my internet bill. So $1,773.17 for Fidelity and $124.92 for internet. Yeah, I'm gradually not using my Fidelity card as much now that I have the Robinhood Gold card, which does 3% cash back instead. But this is kind of like remnants from the previous month. I basically only ever use it for Venmo at this point. And let's just pop over to transfer the money to the spending account so that I can kind of just draw those bills after the video's done recording. So we're going to draw the $1,773 first. Just push that over to the spending account from individual. And yeah, and it's important to note that like the fact that I invested the money first before I'm kind of taking anything out is key here, because like I'm basically investing the money, growing my gross and market value of the portfolio, and then taking out money in margin, right? So I'm not just kind of like switching money in sides and buckets or whatnot. Like I'm kind of growing my asset pool and then taking basically a loan against it and paying my bills, right? And that's the key part there. So my net value will go down, but my gross value for my portfolio will keep growing. And the goal is to kind of keep growing that. Great. And then we'll transfer over the internet bill. So $124.92. And yeah, same thing. We'll transfer that over to the spending account. Just a weirdo like that, I want to transfer those separately so you can kind of see them individually like that rather than plussing them. Little OCD brain. And great. So that's the bills paid. And yeah, let's take a look at everything after that's all invested. So it's a 76.9K of buying power, 162.2K of margin used. So that's increased because of the bills paid, right? And the margin total is at 239.1K. And I have like 38.4K of cash available for withdrawal. So yeah, that's money up until that margin total that I can basically pull out if I wanted to. But yeah, just nice that I could buy that dip, really, and we'll see how the rest of the week goes, or the day goes rather. I think it's just going to be a lot of volatility and a lot of up and down with the war going on right now. It's kind of hard to predict, honestly, what's going to happen. And yeah, now let's just color code what I paid this week to just kind of like that going. And let's just take a look at all the numbers and copy them over to the spreadsheet to get those updated and get a live update on everything, on the equity, on the margin health and everything, and kind of see where we are. Yeah, just copy over the margin used. And now let's just copy over the positions as well. So let's just open up XPAY and CHPY and get that copied over. So do the average cost first for XPAY here. That's going up just because like, yeah, I have a capital gain right now. So averaging up a little bit, and then just get the number of shares there. And then for CHPY next, so 60.31 average cost. So averaging down there, and let's just get a number of shares in there. Cool. So that's all updated. So now the gross value of the portfolio is 320.8K. Margin used is 162.2K, and the net value is 158.6K. The equity is just below 50% now, at 49.45%. So like I mentioned in the past too, at this point, I'm going to have to be okay with this dropping below 50%, given that I don't have as much income coming in. If it gets like really dire, like in the 40% range or like 30% range, then I might maybe start bringing in some income or start potentially selling some positions to kind of reduce the margin. But for now, I'm just going to leave it and kind of just monitor it pretty closely. It is nice that my blended margin maintenance ratio now is 25%. Fully. So that makes it so that my margin buffer is as big as it can be. So right now it's at 78.4K. If the portfolio drops that much on the net value, that basically brings me to my margin maintenance of 80.2K. And yeah, so my margin buffer for the net portfolio value is actually 49.44%. So that roughly matches what's in Robinhood. That goes out net portfolio value. I like to go by the gross portfolio value, the 24.45%, because really the 320K, 0.8, the 320.8K is basically what all the assets are. And then if that full value drops by 24%, that's the equivalent of a 49.44% drop on the net portfolio, right? If you factor in the margin amplification. The growth assets with all that is sitting at 168.9K or 52%. The high yield assets are sitting at 151K or 48% roughly. My monthly dividends are sitting at just below 4.5K with those buys, which is nice. If we pop over here, we can actually calculate roughly how much I added to the monthly income here. So let's just calculate CHPYs first. Like roughly right now, the current yield is like 44%. So if we just do times 1152 times 0.44, that's a $506 a year. Divide that by 12. Then we'll get the $42 a month that I've added with CHPY today. And then let's check for XPay. So do the full severance pay amount times 21% it is right now. So $775 a year divided by 12, 64.59. So if we add all that together, I just realized I had this off screen or whatnot, but it's roughly just over $106 that I added to the portfolio and monthly income today with the investments, which is nice. So yeah, that's why I'm going to be just investing into the high yield stuff for now, given the layoff, just to kind of keep my monthly income supplemented and keep growing as I'm kind of waiting to find another job, right? So I'll be kind of investing in things like XPAY, TSPY, SPY-I, MLPI, QQQI, TDAC. So just the safer yielders, because I want stuff to be kind of relatively NAV stable or NAV appreciating. If I do some of the higher yielders, it might more be like chippy. And yeah, and then as far as my distribution yield for that monthly income, it's roughly 35.54% if we go off just the high yield income assets, the 151.9K. And if we go off the full portfolio value, it's actually 17.53%. So not bad, all things considered. And even just with all the rebalancing I've done in the last couple of weeks. Yeah, that's the video. If you want to follow me off of YouTube, there's a bunch of different ways to do that. You can do that on Blossom Social. You can see all my trades, all my posts. You can also follow me on Snowball as well. You can see all my numbers. These links are all down in the description below for free. But yeah, you see all my numbers there, what's in the green, what's in the red. A lot more red, given that there's a lot of new positions that changed with the rebalancing, right? But yeah, I'm an open book. You can kind of see all my numbers, and hopefully you can kind of take away what you need from it. And then also there's a Patreon where, in case there's any more YouTube shenanigans, as a backup. It's all completely free, but there is like a little supporter tier if you want to kind of like treat it as like a tip jar for the channel. You get a little Discord badge, private channel Discord access, but within the free Discord. And yeah, but nothing is paywalled as far as content goes. And then of course there's the Discord. So yeah, love talking to people in between videos here. Just a lot of good conversations. And yeah, this weekend, for example, we had like a little live stream of the Robinhood conference that happened earlier this week. So that was fun to watch with people, and we're just kind of commenting as it was going, and I'll screen sharing. And yeah, of note for us who are into high yield investing, the dividend tracker looks like it might be on track to come out for Q3 this year, which is nice. So look out for that. I'm excited for that. We'll see if maybe that's a thing that makes me phase out Snowball. But we'll keep an eye on that for later this year. Of course, you'll have all my trade alerts as well, too. I've been posting all my mini trade alerts this week. Like, all the income I've been getting is mostly like cash back from my Robinhood Gold card. So still been posting those little amounts that I've been investing. But if you got some value out of this and you're looking forward to following my layoff journey, please give a like and subscribe. Hit the bell notification if you want to be notified about future videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.